Hey there, and welcome to my Ultimate Decades Challenge save file. I'm currently putting together some adjustments to the side household lots as we enter the 1310s. I know I started the game just really excited to get into the gameplay and did not do much with the lots themselves or setting up the world. Kind of figured I would do it as we went along. So here we are, doing speed build of it. Right now we're in the Wood household, which is Beatrice and Arnold's family. They are currently the only household to not lose any of their children. And I have decided, based on their storyline and kind of history, I would love for their home to feel cozy and really be focused more on the chickens as their kind of activity for income production. They also have access to a fishing spot, which I think between the chickens and the fishing and the fact that their last name is Wood, they live in a cottage in the woods, lumber would also be up their alley. But I think of them as more being the suppliers for wood that Osbert uses for his projects, because I just don't imagine Osbert as someone who's going to go out and chop down his own trees to make the furniture and the statues and stuff that he's been selling. So with their house, wanted to add a little bit of more a sense of separation between living and private sleeping quarters. And then I wanted the kitchen and kind of that living space to feel a little bit livelier. They definitely had been very vacant earlier in the playthrough. Since they do have so many kids, wanted to make sure that they had an activity table for them to actually have something to do other than just help around the farm and play outside. When it came time to clutter everything up, definitely this hutch, along with the shelf in the kitchen, got the most attention. So this is how the Wood household has been updated. Now they actually have a little side yard for chickens with room for lots and lots more. They have their own well, chopping area for wood, and a small garden plot. Their living area is now separate from the bedroom sleeping space, even though it is one room for the house. And they still have the same bathroom, just with laundry added in it. All right, over in the Mannering household, they are, in my mind, the wealthiest of the three families. Obviously not, wealthy by any means. They don't own their own land or, have servants or anything like that yet, but they are better off. They have more space, they have finer things. So I wanted their home to reflect that, which is why they got the double fireplace in the center that separates the dining and sitting area from the kitchen, making sure that their kitchen is full of food supply, clutter to make it look like they are affluent and ready to survive without any issue. I definitely just got to a point where there was so much stuff to scroll through between CC and debug and all the regular items that I was just dumping it all into the space and then putting it where it made sense after. And there were actually a handful of other things too that I wanted to put in there, but I just didn't want to fight with the positioning tools in order to make it happen. So they went away. And it looks like Alma leans towards baking now. I don't think that really is far outside of her character. She does seem a little bit more standoffish and reserved compared to Beatrice or Cassandra. So inside, first was finishing up with making more of a cozy living space, and then wanted the outside to have a covered area for the mead production machinery. Originally, I actually wanted it to be a fully freestanding shelter, but decided against that in the end. And then, in order to redo the whole lot, I find, for me personally, the easiest way to start is just by completely changing the color of the ground to make it easy for me to see the contrast, because too many greens all on top of each other of the plants and the grass, and it just makes it hard for me to easily see where I have and have not already been working. So very first, set out a bunch of paths, all the beehives, some different benches along the way. They have lost the most children, and so I wanted them to have kind of like a little seating area by their graveyard. I have decided to kind of lean towards mead and honey production as their main source for income that they would lean into. So they have very minimal garden plot, just enough so that they could kind of keep up with their own vegetables and herbs. But I wanted their entire lot to really reflect bees and flowers and kind of more of like a garden vibe. Now, this doesn't end up being too incredibly ornate or over the top in my mind. Definitely a lot of plants and a lot of things being put around, but I was just kind of throwing them as randomly as I could, just to make sure that they were there, instead of being a real stickler for the perfect plants in the perfect areas. And then I've been thinking ahead as we get into the next decade with our families. We are about to have some children do their roles and potentially become teenagers, and then pretty shortly thereafter they will be eligible for partners and marriage. So as far as finding them potential future partners, would that be something that you all would want to create some Sims and put on the gallery so that they could be included in my gameplay, added to the world? Or should I just maybe go into our current households that exist and just kind of double check and help along some of those households to have children? Because I know we have a handful. We have maybe, I want to say 3 or 4 neighborhood children, but at least one of them is from the royal family, so they're not an option at all at this point in the storyline. Our families are very, very far beneath royal notice at this moment. It was a stretch that Cassandra got married in, but she lost her entire family connection in order to join ours, so that's okay. And then after initial placement of all of the plants and kind of spreading them out throughout the lot, going back through with the paint tool with different colors and different textures, trying to blend out the landscaping and make it look a lot more natural. Like maybe there's some areas that have more foot traffic, or others that, maybe don't get quite as much sunlight because of the taller shrubs or grasses, and so they get a little bit dirtier versus grassy underneath the plants themselves. And this is the finished Mannering household, all updated to be more focused on bees and honey, live in more of a garden setting than our other households have. Definitely the fanciest interior out of all the families. So thank you for watching, and looking forward to seeing you all in the next decade.